Cool. And then just so you know, I record it as well in case anything fucks up with the Wi-Fi, and then I also send you a link to the recording later, so if you say anything epic that you want to share. Yeah. So I'm just going to get this started and then we'll just figure it out as we go. So let's take it. We're going live. Okay. Cool. Live. So it'll take a few minutes for Chicky Babes to get on here with us, even though we're running just a smidgy behind. We're on womb time. It's okay. We don't need to always run on clock time. Tonight we're running on womb time.
I love it. I'm totally there. It's dark and womby here. How about that?
Yeah, it's perfect. So I feel like while we're waiting for people to kind of jump on, let's both just drop in. Kind of had a bit of a rush around to get on the call together. I love it.
We're totally in the feminine, right?
Oh, we're so in the feminine. Just fly on in there. It'll all be okay.
Fuck the scheduling.
Totally. So we just both take a few big breaths and just drop into the body. Just letting go of the day. So just connecting into our own wombs. Oh, there you go. Just connecting down into the earth womb. And then just connecting our wombs together so that there we go. How are you? Hi.
Hello.
Now I can feel you. Yeah. So, and I just really want to set an intention that whatever we bring into this space is exactly what's needed for highest and best for the women that are going to come on to this call and those that will watch the replay as well.
Yeah.
Really, I love to run these just as a discussion, and we'll just kind of see what comes out. And as women come on, if they choose to ask questions, I'll ask you the questions. But otherwise, I just love to run it as a chat between us and just trust that I know that will bring through gems of goodness for anybody who jumps on. So the women that are jumping on, if you can just send a comment or a love heart or something, just bring your energy into this space so that you're fully here with us. And let me just see, I wanted to, sometimes you can invite people to the, there we go, let's invite some people to the live as well. That's always a good thing. Get some lovely ladies on here with us. Thank you for the love hearts. I see them coming through. Groovy. Remember to just invite the female variety.
Beautiful.
To the call. Remembering not doing the male-bodied variety for this particular call. Oh, it's Kate that's on there. I see a big love heart from Kate. Oh, so welcome to Mystery Mondays.
Total mystery. Who the fuck knows what's going on?
No, so for the women jumping on, Amy and I have not had a second to chat about what we're going to chat about. So we're just literally going to let it fly and see what happens. And if you've got questions as we go along, please feel free to ask them. So I would love to introduce you to the beautiful Amy, who's currently actually sitting in her clinic, which is so fitting for this. I kind of love that. I like seeing all the jars and stuff behind you. So I know Amy personally. We've kind of met through different shamanic journeys that we've been on in different workshop spaces, and I just adore, here we go now, I'm just going to totally talk you up, I just adore Amy on so many levels of, you are like a spark of sunshine is the way that I kind of see you and the way that I explain you. And so the fact that, you know, the little pieces that I understand about your work are really dropping in with women and couples for their fertility and around bringing babies into the world just makes so much sense when I feel you, and it made sense even before I knew what you do. So a big part of the reason why I wanted to bring you on. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. That's such a beautiful little synopsis of how we've met, and, you know, the way that we felt each other as well. Like, I really feel like when I think of you, I just think of this luminescent being too. So absolutely kind of, I think, reflecting on each other there too. But there's also this womb space that we really connect with, and yeah, more to come. I think we're both doing something together soon.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you're now starting with Janine, right? And so Janine is who I studied a lot of my womb journey with. So there's a lot of really beautiful, what's the word? I want to say similarities, but that's not the word. Synchronicities.
Something like that. Same.
Something.
Matchy.
The wombs are doing cool shit. That's really the technological wording for that.
It is, yeah. We're there.
Yeah. So to start, like, I would love to understand a little bit more about what you do and how you ended up in what you do as well. Like, it's quite a niche area. So
yeah, it is cool. Yeah, I love talking about what I do because I love it. It's my passion. You know, I've tried to kind of deviate from a little bit and try to create something different, but I just keep getting back into this space of helping women and couples create life and fertility. And it's not just about kind of creating, you know, the womb space or the egg meets the sperm, creates the embryo and the baby. There's just so much more to it, you know. And been practicing Chinese medicine fertility for 10 years in clinical practice, you know, longer than that with other stuff. But really focusing in on that for 10 years. And it's really interesting to see how fertility and how our bodies have changed in that short period of time, really, you know, with a whole host of different things coming in, environmental toxins, more technology and Wi-Fi and stress, and there's a myriad of different kind of reasonings as to why infertility is kind of on the rise. So I see it as not just this concept of trying to create a fertile body, you know, making sure that the hormones are all lined up, the different phases of the menstrual cycle are in alignment with nature and, you know, unique for each individual woman, or that the sperm is in the right health to be able to procreate as well. I really feel that it's really fucking important to create a unit and an environment and a mini world in which to bring in these souls. Because, you know, and a part of that journey as well, you know, I went on a little bit of a fertility journey with my own kind of trying to conceive path with my own kids. So that sparked my interest then. You know, it wasn't as easy as I had hoped. And so kind of had to do my own work there. And I love working with women. Like, I love working with our natural flow and the ebbs and the cycles and the yin and the yang that we contain within ourselves. It's a beautiful space in which to work, you know, in that womb space. So I kind of got into it a little bit there, and it's just been this natural evolution of working with women and then working with couples and on various levels of that. But then also going through my own marriage separation after having 2 kids, I just see how important it is to really work on that union of the couple, if there is a couple. You know, I do work with single women as well, in which to create the landing of that soul. So it's kind of been this evolution over the years, and in the past few years really brought in, you know, shamanic elements, tantric elements, and, you know, really gone into my own depths of my own dark, basically, and light, and really kind of work with that. So it is a real niche market. There's a lot of Chinese medicine practitioners, a lot of natural medicine practitioners focusing on fertility, but I feel like just the path that I've taken in my own personal journey with my life, it's been able to bring this unique flavor to my offering. And I truly just believe it's my passion and it's my purpose for being here. And so much of it is literally channeled or brought up from the depths of the womb. And I just go into this space where it's just there. So yeah, I qualified over 10 years ago, you know, as a Chinese medicine doctor, and, you know, weaving different elements as well. So a little bit of where I came from and what got me here. And now I'm starting my own beautiful clinic, which I love. It's, you know, kind of Noosa hinterland. Yeah. Get to be witchy with all the potions.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Fun.
I know. I fully got excited when you got on the call and there's like all the potions in the background, and I'm like, oh, I want to play with potions.
Oh, don't get me started on the things that I'm creating there. Oh, yeah. I'm also a creator, so I'm also constantly working on different things. I'm working on a whole lot of new stuff at the moment after just coming out of 21 days of mystery school and deep shamanic process. So much has just evolved from that, and I'm really excited to what's to come next and how I can bring what I do and the transmissions that I receive and the wisdom that I have from the work that I've done, how I can bring it to a greater scope of women and couples, because I've had couples travel from further and further afield. So it's like, okay, how can I bring it? So there's different things that are bubbling up.
I like that. The witch's brew is bubbling.
Oh yeah.
I like that. It's interesting actually, because one of the pieces that I wanted to really ask you about was, like, I know Chinese medicine and fertility kind of go together. Interestingly enough, I don't know, 20 years ago, it was a path that I started to go down. I actually started my Chinese medicine, and then all sorts of stuff happened, and I, for various reasons, wasn't able to do it, and I was going to focus on fertility. So it's so interesting that, yeah, it's probably another reason why I'm like, oh, look at all that stuff in the background.
Yeah.
But what, you know, I know that that's not an uncommon area, but what I wanted to check in with you is, like, I know your connection to the womb and your connection to the shamanic aspect of the womb. And I wonder how you found that has shifted your work. Like, if that was, you know, I wonder whether you were already doing that 10 years ago, whether that's something that started to come in, and how you've noticed that impact your work.
Yeah, cool. Really cool question. I think I've always had an element of it ever since I was a little girl. I know that there's always been this healer within me, and it's gone back lifetimes. I know it. You know, the priestess and the healer. It just comes through the witch. It's in my lineage. It's in the lineage of the women that I have in my family. So I feel like from a very young age, I've always had that, and I've always known that I've wanted to be some type of doctor or healer or, you know, medicine woman. But it has really, really evolved in the kind of 10 years that I've been practicing specifically fertility as well. And yeah, really kind of going into my own womb space and really activating that. But I also, I feel like I kind of have my own shamanic initiation literally in the forest. You know, I spend a lot of time in nature. It's my medicine, like in the forest, on the beach. You know, it's where I get to receive and receive transmissions and just transmute and clear. And, you know, so it was this amazing process a couple of years ago where I really feel like I just got activated on that level. And it was about that time that I really started kind of going into more of the shamanic work within myself, and really working with my own sexual energy in terms of Tantra and kind of ancient Taoist principles as well. And I noticed a massive shift in the couples and the women that I was working with. So the women, yeah, absolutely. And just seeing them really start to drop and drop and drop down into their own womb space. And, you know, like I said, it's not about just conception. I see these women fundamentally change on every aspect of their being. even sometimes to the point where they get to the stage where it's like, actually, that's not what I want to create with my fertility. So it's not just about creating fertility to create a baby, it's creating fertility to create life. So yeah, I've seen women just kind of unfurl and blossom and open out. And I have a real gentleness and a real feminine way with the way that I treat, but I'm also pretty masculine. I can be pretty, blunt too. So I kind of deliver a bit of, I guess, dark masculine, just to really kind of get things, just no bullshit. I don't really fucking have time for bullshit. I've always said I wanted to be a practitioner that practices what they preach. I didn't want to be one of those practitioners that's off like partying on the weekend and then telling people to fucking eat a raw food diet and be super clean. So I really do embody that. And I get feedback a lot that, I guess, inspiring in that way. So I feel like the way that I live helps other women. And the way that I live and embody my life, and I try to live in just 100% truth, whatever the fuck that is in the time. So yeah, I've seen these women like really shift since I've kind of dropped into my own wound, but I've also seen the men massively change too. I pretty much insist on working with the couple, if there is a couple.
Yeah.
So I see the men too. And since I've done that and worked on both polarities within the relationship, my success rates, whatever, the percentage, whatever you kind of want to label it as, it's just skyrocketed through the roof. Like it's really fucking high. Basically, if you work with me, follow my transmissions, my instructions, my downloads, whatever, it's, it will happen. And I believe that's that real shamanic faith and trust in something that's way bigger than me in this body. And I just feel like it's kind of vessel for that. Yeah. Yeah. You can see how fucking passionate about it I am. I love it. Like it's, so juicy fertility.
Yeah.
Get wet with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, that's totally my jam as well as really anything to do with the womb. And I love how you spoke into, like, some women might go on the path and then realize their fertility is actually for something else other than a human baby, than a human life. It's like that our womb is to create. End of story. Like, it's like whatever you want to create, it's birthing it through the womb. And I wonder, like you kind of mentioned there, like kind of about a raw food diet, and then you mentioned earlier about like the impact that Wi-Fi and different kind of things that are coming into our way of being have impacted fertility. I wonder, like, what are the pieces that you really see? Like, what are the pieces that you're seeing around Wi-Fi? What are the pieces that you see around food that maybe we're just not even aware of, that people are oblivious to?
Yeah. You know what? Regardless of the external influence, it's a massive disconnect. It's a disconnect between here and heart and womb. It's just this separation. So we're just not connected anymore, regardless of what is in our environment and what we put into our bodies. Yeah, that's a massive factor. But if there's disconnect and there's everything going on up here, especially, there is nothing going on in that womb space. It's just cut off. So yeah, I do offer lifestyle and kind of nutritional advice, but I really don't go into it. I put a lot of ownership back onto the person that I'm working with, for them to really kind of go, okay, what feels good in my body? How does this food feel? What is this food? How is it working for me? And I've done nutritional coaching. I've trialed every single diet under the sun on myself. I'm like the human test tube of everything. I love just experimenting on myself because, I want to know the medicine before I can, recommend it. So, and what I've come to in my own being is tuning in to what feels good on every level, but mostly kind of what feels good. My womb, makes a hell of a lot of decisions for starters with my own stuff. So my process with women is really dropping them out of their heads into the heart and then down into the womb. A little bit different with men, because I feel like all of these external influences have had a major effect on sperm health, and sperm health has rapidly declined in the past 10 to 15 years, where I used to pretty much just work with women and fix their cycles, get them in tune with nature, get them in tune with their bodies, and they would get pregnant. And then that kind of started to waver about, 7 years ago. It's like, okay, this is kind of not working as well as it used to. Let's look at the men. And the men were coming in with terrible sperm, where a doctor would say, yeah, that's great, because things like, this is kind of going off topic a bit, but IVF has become a business.
Yeah.
So there's this funnel to direct people into IVF, which is amazing medicine. Like, it really is. And I work alongside assisted reproductive technology, but it's not the go-to. So for men, then that's another reason why I work with them as well. Yeah, working on the sperm health, but then working on their relationship with their partner, with their woman. We're working on their individual relationship within their self, their masculine and feminine, and same with the women too. So there's tweaks and changes that I do, I think possibly more so in terms of literal kind of the physiology of the male body, in terms of sperm and diet and lifestyle, because those external influences are having a pretty disastrous effect on health.
Wow.
And it's getting it further just deep down, and really trusting. And one of the things that I get most from the women, and what the feedback is, that now they know so much more about their body, and they know so much more about their womb and their menstrual cycle, and that it's okay to fluctuate through emotions. We don't have to flatline. It's okay to feel into our body, to feel discomfort. It's okay, so
it's one of the things I really notice as well, is like how much women are really up in their head now and not in their body. Like, even this concept of like, drop down into your womb, or can you feel your womb? Majority of women are like, I don't know what you're talking about. The number of women that I have be like, I don't even understand what that means. And I used to be the same as well. Like, before this journey, I was the same. I was like, womb, I don't know. It's the thing that babies would come out of if I had one, and I feel it when I bleed each month. Like, that was kind of the limit. And that's where most women are at, because I feel like we're so in our head. Whereas, back in however many decades ago, or centuries ago, when it was like we were connected to our cycle, right, and connected to nature. I wonder, like, I'd love to talk to you about that, like about women being in touch with their cycle and connecting that into the cycle of nature. Like, it's something I hear women speak of quite often as well, on whether they're bleeding with the full moon or the new moon, and different women then freak out about whether it means they're fertile or they're not fertile because they're bleeding with a different moon. I'd love to know kind of your opinion on that and your feel on that.
In my clinical work, I don't actually go into moon phases, because it can be just another mind fuck. It's another thing for women to think about. So I actually try and really avoid other things. But I do take note as to where they might be within their cycle. I get women to track their cycles and do temperature charting, because it gives us this amazing tool to be able to see the yin and the yang of the cycle, and then all the hormones that are related to the different cycle within the yin and the yang, without having to do loads of blood tests. You get to hold onto your blood, and we get to read the body. And that is the beauty of Chinese medicine. It's thousands of years old, and it was originated by the shamanic women, like so many ancient. It was brought down by the women and passed on verbally through apprenticeships, through watching and doing and feeling and picking the herbs and feeling. And then over time, and the Confucian era, the Maoist era, it got indoctrinated into schools and, masculinized, and kind of like the way that the world has gone anyway, which is fine. It's okay. It is what it is. It's needed to kind of happen that way. So personally really try and keep it kind of in flow with that. And, you know, Chinese medicine is beautiful. So that's what it's kind of getting at. It's because we use elements of nature to describe what's going on within the body. So we use terms like damp and cold and heat and wind. You know, we use yin and yang. So it's this beautiful poetic medicine. And it's why I really, truly love it. Yeah, I get to be this amazing detective, but of this really beautiful natural terrain of the body, you know. And in Chinese medicine, we are the microcosm of our macrocosm. We are this link between the void and nothingness and everythingness and the earth. We are this kind of on top of the earth plane as humans. So we're this kind of interconnected vessel, and we have all of that within us. We have pockets of void within us. We have this magic that resides within us. So yeah, I try to really focus in on that and use terms without getting too heady, you know, as well, because it's really easy to get heady. But it is, I'm really intrigued about the moon cycle and the concepts. I was chatting to a good friend about it the other day, because we both said that we just started bleeding on this full moon. And I'd literally just had a period. It's like, what the fuck's, you know, my period's pretty good. My menstrual cycle's pretty good. I was bleeding on this, and she kind of did a bit of research into it because she'd done the same as well. And it brought in the elements of this shamanic nature and, you know, kind of being different to bleeding on the dark moon. And yeah, beautiful. So I've got this awareness of it, but I don't bring it in a verbal context into the clinic work. Yeah, but
yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I find my cycle changes because my cycle's very short. It's 24 days. So sometimes I'm with the full moon, sometimes I'm with the dark moon. And I find it interesting that there's this piece around, you know, whether you're fertile or you're not fertile, depending on what moon you bleed with. And I almost find a danger in people kind of sharing a story like that, because I feel like there's already enough stories going on for women around the ways that they're not fertile. So then to start kind of being like, well, you're bleeding with the wrong moon, to me is shaming and is putting another thing for women to worry about. And I feel like so much of, you know, my understanding of a lot of infertility for women is related to that, is the stress around not being able to get pregnant, not being able to have a baby. And so yeah, I feel like there's this beauty in following the moon, and then kind of this a little bit of a danger piece to me.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely agree. There's a lot of shaming, and in the women that I work with, there's already so much that's going on. You know, they're already feeling that their bodies are failing them in something that fundamentally we should be able to do as women, is procreate, is have babies, you know. So they already come to me with this deep shame in their bodies, and it's pointless adding to that. And, you know, this kind of should be doing this or shouldn't be doing that. It's just, your cycle is what it is. It's doing what it is. Let's just see if we can round it out and smooth it out. And let's just get it really beautiful for the way that you are. My cycle's short as well and kind of does different things. You know, I see women with all different types of cycles. But what we can help to do is just smooth the edges and kind of just create a really nice, beautiful symbiosis within that cycle, which is that kind of representation of the yin-yang symbol. Like, that is your menstrual cycle in the yin-yang symbol as it is. So it's just about smoothing things and diagnosing as well, according to that yin-yang symbol, what's missing, what's there too much of, what can we help more of. But most of the time it's the stress, and it's getting out of the head into the heart, switching off. And it's the whole thing of, you know, women acting like men in everything that we do, and then we expect our bodies to be like women.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's, you know, like, it's the yin yang again, because we needed some kind of uprising. We needed to kind of get some leveling with the patriarchy. But I think in the process of doing that, we've kind of stood on the backs of many men, you know. It's kind of needed to happen, and it's tipping the scales again. It's just constant, this like flux and change. And I feel like now it's coming into this beautiful union, or it is doing more so, with a kind of equality between the energies. Yeah. You can never have pure equality because that's just flatlining and it's fucking dead.
Yeah.
That nature never does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the flux and the change, baby.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. I love that you say that, like, women are basically being men, and because it's something that I've expressed for quite a few years, and you know, I certainly did it. Like, I was trying to get pregnant 10 years ago, but I was basically so in my masculine, so in my head, so disconnected from my body. It's like, well, how was my body going to have a chance to do the most feminine thing that it can possibly do when I'm not connected to that at all? I wonder for you, like, other than the medicine side, like, what are other pieces that you share with women around them getting out of their head, like pieces that women who are even listening to this can kind of go, yeah, like, I recognize that I'm in my head and I'm being masculine. Are there any pieces that of wisdom that you've got to share with them?
Yeah, nature time, just nature connect, like solo nature time if you can get it. Like, it's seriously my most fundamental medicine. You know, nature is the feminine, it is yin. Like, you know, I live right near the beach, so I can hear the waves, and that is just a beautiful representation of the feminine, the ocean. Like, fuck, it's just powerful. And then I go into the deep, dark depths of the womb space of the forest. You know, one of my favorite things to do, and it kind of happened by accident one afternoon, walking in the forest, is walking in the forest at night, or walking on the beach at night. So yeah, and really facing up with the fears of what is presented right in front of you in that dark space. So I fully recommend going into your dark really, really deeply, and sitting there and being there and writhing around in the discomfort, because it's the discomfort that is our invitation to be able to completely change and transform. But we have to fucking go there. And so many women ride along the top of emotions. You know, so many women come into my rooms and say, oh, I just wish that I could stop thinking about this fertility journey, or my gosh, I'm so angry again, or this. And it's like, okay, so what are you doing about it? You're just going to continue to bounce along the top of it and never, ever go into it? Because if you never go into it, it will always be there, and it will always be nudging at you to acknowledge it. So turn around and face the deep and the dark and really fucking go there, because there's no other way to get connected, I feel, to your womb space and to your own natural and innate way of being. The dark is beautiful.
Yeah. That's the piece I feel like a lot of people don't realize. If you're really going to work with the womb and work with the feminine, you've got to, you've got to face the death. You've got to really go into the shit. And it's like, yeah, you can't kind of be like, oh, I think I'm a little frustrated about that. No, like, you need to really deep dive into it. And I feel like that's one of the key pieces that a lot of people don't get or don't understand. And I feel like part of that is a society-driven thing of, like, you know, women being, oh, you got PMS again. Oh, she's being a moody bitch and all of that. So then we're like, oh, God, I better try not to be a moody bitch. And it's like, well, hang on, those moods are there for a reason, right? It's like, if we don't express them, then we're bottling them up and it's all going to shit. So how do your clients cope with that, with the basically being told that you need to face it and to go into the dark, and also the piece around, like, that those emotions they're there for a reason, like, we're supposed to have them?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like I resonate with the women that I work with and the women that I attract. Some of them, you know, and because I am pretty blunt and kind of just raw and honest, with love, a hell of a lot of love there as well, can be pretty confronting. But it's part of that cracking the, you know, the shell open. It's part of kind of tricking the mind into kind of having this moment of pause so that there can be something else that can just start to bubble up. So I get different responses, but most of the time it's met with a hell of a lot of laughter and fun, and a woman can be in tears, and yeah, we can go into that. I don't, in my clinical work that I am doing at the moment, we don't go into and do any kind of embodiment work of any emotions. I kind of send them home with a little bit of homework to go into their own stuff, because it's just not the environment that I have here.
Yeah.
So it can be met with varied things. So some women just, it's too much for them to handle. So then they try and recreate a little different plan. And there still needs to be a bit of a structured plan with them creating fertility within a body. So a woman will then deviate from the plan, and it doesn't work, or it takes a hell of a lot longer for it to work, because I know that they're fundamentally afraid to go into what that dark is. And then there's the women that really receive it really well. And yeah, it's confronting and shocking at times, but they're the ones that I see make the big transformational change. And it's those that trust as well. And I create a relationship with the women that I work with of trust. And I really hold the women, and I am really there to support. It's a part of the work that I really love to do. But what I'm wanting to create now is that space for women to be able to go deeper into that with my presence. So I'm working on creating one-on-one in-depth coaching where we work together for like a day or a weekend together, and then working on these retreats. I want to do a women's retreat going right into that dark, and I'm going to create a couples fertility retreat as well, where we go into the polarities and fucking play as adults and get wild and juicy. And so I'm working on creating that space in which women and couples can go into their dark, because it is really, really important. And I love getting to prescribe things like ravishment to the men.
Yes.
The woman is ovulating, go ravish. Go be romantic and ravish. Oh, and then on the other hand, like, go and have anal sex. Like, if you're ovulating, we don't want you to get pregnant just yet. Just go and have like anal sex. It's brilliant. And the shock on the faces is brilliant. I love it. It's so good.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is epic. It's what my favorites as well is to give all the homework of like, self-pleasure, anal stimulation. Go and tell your partner now that he needs to make love to you in this specific way. Like I had one client this week, I was like, right, so your husband needs to like fuck you but ravish, like, and with the bed covered in money.
Yes. That is good. I did that recently.
It's fantastic.
Life-changing.
Yeah, I was like, I want to try that homework out soon as well. When I told her to do it, I'm like, I need that.
And there's so much work out there as well to be able to go in, like the work that you do, the work that Janine does with, womb journey. Easter has been massive for me as well. There's a lot, and that's just a tiny little drop in the ocean. But those, there's a lot of offerings around going into the shadow. Yeah,
and I'm with you of how important that is. I'm only a couple of days away from going into one of my retreats actually. So, and then I think straight the day I get out of my retreat, I think you go in with Janine. So
yeah,
we're like passing the baton of the shamanic womb experience.
Oh, love it so much.
I know. It's actually, anyone who's listening who's like, who's this Janine that we keep on speaking about? Janine Mare is one of my mentors, and I did an apprenticeship with her, and then now Amy's doing work with her as well, and a lot of actually just so many epic women are doing work with her. So, and then my retreat is a combination of her work and Dane Thomas's work. So,
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, which I'm quite excited about. Actually, I think Jasmine's watching at the moment, and she's coming to the retreat in a couple of days. So
cool. So many cool women doing awesome stuff.
I know. I love it. And the more of us that are doing this, the more it excites me on like what we're all creating and how that's covering not only different geographical areas, but different areas of expertise, and how we're able to like play and go to each other's and learn and refer clients. And that to me is just such a turn on to feel how this work is getting bigger and bigger and bigger at the moment. And I feel like more women are realizing the importance of being connected to our womb and connected to our cycle and connected to our body, and actually even just being here in the body is a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. And how collective is it at the moment? I feel like globally that's what women are doing. It's that kind of the reclamation of that sisterhood and the tribe. We were the gatherers. We were the ones that sat in circle. We nurtured the babies. We nurtured each other. We did the feminine stuff, and I feel like we're bringing it back because we've had this like polarity shift that we talked about with being too masculine. And it's yummy and delicious. I love feeling it too. And I can feel the ripples out. In my clinic space, I have a few people that work here. I think we've got 12 people all together.
Wow.
But, out on the front desk here, there's 2 other women that are herbalists, and we just have so much fun getting creative together and getting witchy, and we've got all these plans and like schemes of creating these little potions, and it's awesome. So much fun to work with, to work with other women on this level of helping service, it's wild.
Oh my God, I want you to create potions for my women. Can you create a womb spiral potion?
Yes, I can.
Do it. Seriously, I've got another beautiful friend of mine, Cheryl, who's creating essential oils specifically for the womb gates. That might not be public, but I didn't just publicly say her thing. Anyway, other people won't know what the womb gates are anyway. So she's creating that at the moment. She's like doing her full witchy stuff. And
hey, was Dane wearing any of them in the past few
they're
weeks?
Mine.
Yes.
They're mine from Egypt. I'm importing those from Egypt. God, they're amazing. Yeah. And so I want to get like some of Cheryl's things specifically for my womb spiral retreats. I think then you could make us a witchy brew.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah. I'm working on a few different tonic blends. Yeah.
Ooh.
Like yin blend, yang blend, beauty blend. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's.
I would love to. Yes.
Cool. Tell me when that witchy brew of yours is getting close.
We'll chat and you tell me what you want. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yum.
Oh, that's just fully turned me on. Okay, excellent.
Me too.
My long-term plan is like when women sign up for Womb Spiral with me, that it's not just that weekend they're with me. It's like they get a package of stuff. Like here's your oils and here's your tonics that you take and here's your cervix wand that you use and all the stuff, right? Because otherwise we go and we learn these things, but you need to keep practicing it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well, right. So I want them to have these epic gift packs. So I think one of your witchy brews in my gift pack.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. Oh, my mind's already going to do Yum.
That excites me. That really excites me. Cool.
Good.
I had another question coming through and then I got too excited. I got too excited about witchy brews. Oh my God. Such a witch. I'm like, I just want to come play with you with herbs now. Like, what can I mix?
You should have seen me last night, literally in my bedroom. Like I've got this massive bedroom. It's beautiful. And just on the floor, I had like a little rug. I had my pot of tea, had all the different herbs around. And I'm like literally just with a bowl blending and like dipping in thing. And so good. Loved it. And then bottling up with the jazz and doing magic around it all as well. Like really ritual like beforehand and using my own sexual energy too. Like I tapped into that first. It was beautiful. It's fun. Day witch.
I love that too, like that you bring in like the piece about the sexual energy, because it's really another piece that I feel is just so important for us as women to to drop into the understanding that our sexual energy is for more than having sex. And
totally.
it's part of this dropping into the body. And so I know you kind of mentioned at the beginning that there was, like, as you work with couples, that Tantra is something that do you bring that in as something that they should be doing, or is that something that you suggest to them?
Well, in my clinical work, as it has been, it's been more of a suggestion, and it's kind of just the way that I speak. So I see them together first, and then I see them separately. So I get two sides of the story. So I get to see what's going on with the women and their story, and then I get to see the men, and then I get to hear what they think is going on with their women as well, and vice versa. So I get these really cool different polarities. So then I get to be able to say to the man, you know, this is kind of what's going on, or to the women, this is kind of maybe the vernacular that you need to use. The languaging around the way that you speak or the way that you act, so that you can drop into your feminine more. And it's as simple as saying things like, I feel, you know, and the men think, you know, just these tiny little subtleties that make profound changes. So that's the kind of way that I bring it into the clinical work. But when I'm working on these retreats, I want to really bring it into an embodied way as well. And
Awesome. I really feel like that's like a big piece for that connection within a couple, right? And it's like, if we want to consciously conceive, not just, oh, we happen to be having sex and we made a baby, but consciously conceive, then that sexual energy is just so important.
That phrase is massive for me. Conscious conception. That is what it's all about. It's like really creating that ritual space, that ceremonial space, that embodied, really conscious space to bring in a soul, because you can have everything fundamentally lined up physiologically going on within the two bodies. But if you don't have that consciousness around bringing in a soul, it's going to be more difficult, or it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's also what creates that union within the couple too. It's the consciousness around the whole thing. I had this amazing experience myself a couple of weeks ago after a beautiful lovemaking session, of being able to literally see the souls. And it was like I was receiving this direct transmission of, this is what conscious conception was about. And we were really conscious in the way that we were making love, and it was beautiful, and it was just shamanic, and it was highly sexual, and it was all different polarities as well. And it was just this moment of like, oh fuck, this is how it happens, this is the way that they come in. And I had tears streaming down my face, like it was just like, oh wow, it is this other realm. It's like, this is how it works. It's really conscious, and they're just waiting, they're just there waiting to be called in. I mean, you know, it's the work that you do as well, like calling in those souls, like soul midwifery. I was chatting to Janine about that a couple of weeks ago as well. That's what it is. It's calling in those souls, and using sexual energy, because sexual energy, we call it Jing in Chinese medicine. It creates life. It creates all kinds of life. It is potent energy.
Yeah.
And when you start to work with that in your body and in your life, shit happens. And really potently. It's so much more potent, and, you know, combined with kind of dark energy as well, like, you know, so much more potent than that light energy. You know, I've done my Reiki masters years ago and worked with the light bodies and done all of that. And this work is like, bang, instant compared to that. Now, it's a fucking ages, you know, but you work with sexual energy and Jing and dark energy, and
yes, that's the conscious conception piece is just such a huge piece for me right now. I don't know if you ever, or if I ever shared my story, if you ever read my post, but I had a really deep experience of that straight after being in the mystery school in New Zealand with Bruce. And my partner and I, like a couple of days later, had this mind-blowing conscious conception download of like a real shamanic lovemaking session. And he was not planning to ejaculate. That was not part of the plan. Like, and he would never normally without the intention of. And there's this lightning and there's this storm, and then like right as this lightning strike goes, and we're both like crying because the lovemaking was so beautiful. Right as the lightning strikes, he ejaculates, and I seriously felt this with the lightning, this download of what conscious conception is. And it was this moment of like, I felt his sperm go all the way in and connect with my egg. And I was like freaking out, like, but in a beautiful way, like bawling. He starts crying and he's like, did we just make it? I think we just made I'm like, yeah, I think we just made a baby. And obviously, I mean, we didn't because I'm not pregnant. But it was just that shamanically in that space, we both got given the download at the exact same moment on how conscious that choice needs to be of going into the lovemaking, really going in with that choice of like, we are now making a baby. And as they ejaculate, to lay there together and to be like, well, this is the moment. Like, we are making this child together. And I actually had then the experience of a soul coming through to me and saying, would you give everything for me? And it was that moment of like, oh, yes, I would give everything for you, and felt this soul come into my body. And interestingly, like, we since learned that was just so I could have the depth of understanding of the souls that are coming through and the level of conscious conception. And the piece really was like, since then, the women who have been coming to me, on some of them, the souls come and talk to me and say, you know, what's happening, what needs to be cleared in that mother for the womb to be able to hold them. And it's like, oh, this is the level of souls that are coming through now. It's quite incredible. The energy and the vibration of these souls that are coming, it's like, whoa. So it's almost like the need for conscious conception to me is getting greater.
Oh my God, I totally feel you. I can't believe we've had like really similar experience, because the man that I was with also ejaculated in Siamese. Well, we planned it because I was on the end of my cycle. I knew I wasn't going to get pregnant. But there was that moment where it's like, oh, fuck, wow, that is how it had happened. And I felt the soul come in and soul come in. And then I was like, well, there can't be, because there's no like egg laying. What, you know, it was a bit of my mind was going, how is this kind of working? But then it was just realizing that, it was that direct transmission of that. This is how children are made. This is how souls come in. This is conscious conception. It's so important. And I'm seeing it across the different environments that I'm in as well. There's this real gap. You know, there's this real gap in women in the kind of 30s and 40s that are really craving to have babies and to make a family. And it's that yearning and that deep womb calling, you know, and I've had my children, so I know that I'm not going to have any more. So, you know, and I'm really certain on that. But working with a lot of women that are really calling it, and just, they're in my environment, they're in my field as well. And and on a different level, this kind of disconnect between the men not being in that space as well. The men that are with these women that are wanting to run a different energy. They're wanting to run kind of this kind of animalistic energy in other areas, which is also really beautiful as well. But it's not congruent with trying to create a baby.
Yeah.
And the real disconnect. So I feel like there's massive work for us to be able to do within this space, this gap of where conscious conception needs to come in. And I think it begins, you know, because you can't stop a man wanting to run that energy. Like, that's not going to work. You know, they need to run that energy and need to run it where it goes. And then they'll get to this space of presence and grounding and quiet. So I feel like our work is to be able to work with these women and getting them into that womb space and turning off that concept of the ticking clock, because we don't really fucking have it. You know, we're fertile for a lot longer than we believe. We actually have the capacity, and science and research proves it now, to be able to make new eggs. You know, we were born with a whole lot of eggs, but we have this ability to be able to make more. There's stem cells that reside within the ovaries, so we can create new eggs and we can create beautiful eggs at whatever age as well. So it's bringing women back into that space, turning off that ticking clock and kind of calming everything down and letting the men just run that. And that's cool. And, you know, working on self.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where a lot of our work is. Yeah.
That's massive that we can create more eggs. We can make more eggs.
Yeah, right.
And like, because I feel like we're sold this whole thing around the ticking clock. Like I know I certainly have been since I was young. And then like pretty much when I turned 40, my mum was like, well, I will please go and have your eggs frozen. I will pay for it to be done for you because you're not going to be able to have babies because I was not in a relationship. So she's like, you're not going to be able to have them. So we're going to have to freeze your eggs, or else like in 2 years or 3 years time, that'll be it. You're done. So it's like I've been programmed with, by the time I turn 43, which is in a month, that's it.
Yeah.
The fertile window is done, closed. And it's like, I'm pretty fine with not having babies now, but the fact that was kind of taken away from me, I don't like. So it's like then this piece that you're sharing around changing that story of the ticking clock, to me, that's huge.
It is huge. And how potent is that story that, you know, you've been told, that women have been told? We're conditioned with it, you know, we're conditioned with so much shit, but it's so not true. Like our mind and our words are so fucking powerful, and as are those of others and their projection onto us. And again, it comes, you know, it ties in with IVF becoming a business, because that's the harsh and stark reality that it absolutely is. And money-making fiend of a business. Yeah, it's beautiful when it's needed and amazing when needed, but it's pretty horrible. Yeah, because we've fed these stories of we're infertile, or that we can't possibly be fertile, that we need donor eggs, that we need younger women's eggs. You know, even I'm 38 and apparently I'm too fucking old to donate my eggs. Like, patients that, you know, kind of in that scenario, or potential surrogacy, you know, I've recently found out I'm too fucking old to donate eggs and to be a surrogate. It's like, wow, like you're just basing it on numbers, like figures. Like, how is that possible? Yeah, blows my mind.
Holy shit, that's incredible. I mean, even if you're looking at the age of a body, if someone was to compare like where your body is at in age and health compared to perhaps another 38-year-old, like it's going to be completely different, right? It's like the care that you've taken for your body is going to put you in a different position. So it's like on any level, setting an age is ridiculous. Totally.
And besides, our bodies totally kind of regenerate itself every 7 years or something.
Yeah.
You know, and various parts in much shorter time. I'm way healthier now than I was 10 years ago, without a doubt.
Ooh.
Mindset too. It's a mind fertility. Yeah, there can be a lot going on here, and that's the kind of other side of that too. You know, the power of the mind to create fertility or to not, and it's a concept of how are we financially investing our energy in terms of fertility, our financial investment on our fertility? Are we investing our chi and our jing, you know, our energy and our sexual capacity and potency on work, on fucking Facebook and social media, on external things, on distractions? How much goes outwards all the time? How much do we rein back in? You know, it's the currency of fertility. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whoa.
yeah. Whole another realm.
I know. I'm like, I mean, if you ask most people, but especially most women, like how much time do they spend putting energy just in for themselves? Most that I speak to, it's not very much. So when you look at it in that way, of like what's our energy, where's our energy spend, that's kind of wow. Okay.
Yeah. And this still that societal conditioning around all of that as well. Like I worked 2 days in my clinic work. And, you know, like I know there's small businesses in my town that kind of look at me and go, wow, like, how does she do that? Why does she do that? Why isn't she working 6 days a week, you know, 9 hours a day like I am to make my business work? And it's like, well, I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do if I did the work that I do on myself first.
Yes.
You know? So it is that conditioning and it's stopping that.
Yeah.
And that takes courage, actually, because it's not the norm. You know, to step outside of the box of continuously putting energy outside and becoming the martyr to whether you're a mother or not, you can be a bloody martyr.
Oh, yeah.
And stopping that and kind of going, you know what, actually, I'm going to be really fucking selfish. And that's great. It's so called for. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I could speak on for hours.
I know. I know. I was like, I just kind of looked up and went, oh, we've been talking for an hour already. And like, I just want to keep talking all night about it. There's so many more like threads of pieces to bring into this.
Yum, we should do a whole fucking series on this.
We can totally do a series.
Yeah.
I'm so up for a series. Yes, I so want to just keep on talking. But
Okay,
it is
so do I. Talk till my voice is gone because it's getting croaky. It's funny.
I feel like we're just hitting our stride as well. We're both like, cool, we could just sit here till midnight. But
yeah.
So I feel like I should I should kind of start to tie us in a little bow as much as I don't want to, and then we'll just plan to do another one sometime.
Yeah, cool.
What would be, like, if there is a woman who's watching this now and it's like she is on the fertility path, it's something that she's considering, obviously, as other than or as well as coming to see you or doing Chinese medicine, or it's like something that she can do in her own time, what would be the one piece that you would tell her to focus on?
That's a really good question. The one piece. I think to figure out what she is investing with that energy, first of all, and what is her currency around fertility, and why is she investing it in other areas, you know. And there can be that concept of like, yeah, but I'm focusing so much on my fertility, I'm really, really working hard on it. But how much are you working? How much are you pushing and driving? How much are you in your masculine kind of go, get, organized structure, you know, even to the home environment, even to, you know, the sexual interaction and the intimacy with the partner as well. So it's really delving deep into that. What is your fertility currency and where is it being spent other than the self? And then get in tune with nature, just to her, because she is so wise, and that's where so much of the answers lie, because that is what lies within as well. It's the femininity that's in the heart and the void space of the heart, and then in the womb as well. Go to the forest at night. Yeah, that. It was so fun.
I'm with you on that. I've done it once on Janine's land, and they put a swag down in the bottom of her canyon thing, and we had to just go find it alone. No torch allowed either. It was like, okay, so now just walk in the dark through the forest down into this canyon thing and find your swag and sleep there for the night. It was the most profound experience.
Oh, I bet.
I feel like I connected more to my womb on that night.
Yeah.
Like just by, and even the no torch and just needing to walk, like how much you have to drop into feeling and connection and body and just be there with the forest.
Because it turns on every single sense, and it's so primal, and you have to feel. Yeah. You cannot think.
Yeah.
It's potent and powerful. And there's stuff that you receive in that dark space. And I used to be scared of the dark, like I did. I love it now. I love it so much. It's potent and powerful. And you can face metaphorically or realistically your fears. You know, for me, it was this moment where I was kind of realizing that it was getting dark. I'm like, shit, I'm lost in the forest. I actually don't know where I am. I'm going to start running along this path because I got to get out of here. It's getting dark. I started running and shitting myself. And then all of a sudden I was like, what am I running from? There's nobody in this forest. It's just, and it was this metaphorical epiphany of like, wow, I'm just running from fear. All it is running from fear. And I stopped still and I absorbed the darkness in every single cell of my being. And then I just transmuted it out of my heart and into this, like, just love. And it was like, whoa. And I just, that was the moment where I could walk in a new way, completely like, at ease. And what it does is creates that faith and trust in self and in nature and in feminine. And
Yum. See, now that feels like a beautiful spot to stop. So women go and spend a night in the forest at some point somewhere, because it's powerful, juicy, epic goodness.
Tell us all about it, Isabel.
Yeah, then we definitely need to hear the stories, because there'll be definite stories of freaking out, and that's cool, and the fears that come up and the beauty in that.
Stories of the dark. I like it.
I like it too. I'm like, ooh, maybe that's another podcast. Dark. Oh, okay, that's
so much yumminess.
Okay, I'm going to make that one happen too. So we need to do a series of chats, and I think let's do one about stories in the dark. Might get a group of women who've got stories about the dark.
How cool would that be? Yes, do it.
Okay, cool. I'm onto it.
I'd love to see what we create from the juicy womb space.
I know.
Well, there's potions to come.
Yeah, we need to chat more about the potions. Cool. So thank you, women who've been on the live with us. You've all been epic. They've stayed right the way through, so it's like they didn't mind that we ran over time. So enjoy the rest of your evening, ladies. Thank you for joining us on Mystery Mondays. I won't see you next week because I will be in my retreat running Mystery Mondays in retreat. Seeing as the women have no idea what's going to happen, we'll be deep in the mystery for 5 days. So chances are I'll do some random live on here, but there won't be a Mystery Monday until the week after. So everyone who's watching, see you in a couple of weeks. Make sure you do all your comments and stuff if there's anything that you want to know. If you want to ask Amy anything, you can tag her on messages on here. Otherwise, you'll also just be able to find her on Facebook if you've got kind of private questions that you want to ask or direct to her, or know more about her practice up in Noosa or what else that she's up to and all the awesomeness she's creating. Make sure you contact her directly. And good night, everybody. Love you lots. Mwah. See ya. Hang on. End.
We're out of the vortex.
Yep. Done. Excellent.
Cool. Shut out the other side.